And good evening to our fellow listeners and followers. This is Federico Lyons of States Rights Radio. Tonight it is 7:59 p.m., Sunday, May 19th. My podcast partner, Seth Hancock of Seth Hancock Reports, will not be with us tonight, but he'll join us later on in the week. So this time it's just me, and we are going to touch base on repeal, not reform, basically the two amendments that I wrote a book about, The Road to Liberty, bringing an end to the 16th and 17th Unprincipled Amendments. And before we begin, I want to play tribute to a song here. A shout to MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. This song is for you. And that was a shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene, bleach blonde, bad built, butch body. Thank you, Representative Concord, for making us laugh in that session, in that committee session in the National Congress. I typically don't pay attention, but thank you very much. That made us laugh, and that song went out to you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you got a bleach blonde, bad built, and butch body. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll play it a little more later. So I just touch base on what is going on. I wrote a book to bring an end to the two unprincipled amendments to our nation's Constitution, the 16th and the 17th Amendment. And when I see members of Congress and I see individuals and groups and organizations trying to diminish and trying to throw tidbits at the American people, it makes me mad. Because just this past week, Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky, which I really do respect Congressman Massie at some times, but he proposed a bill to end the Federal Reserve, end the Fed. I don't know how many times I've said this, and I've welcomed Representative Massey to come on to our show. It's because just, you repeal, you end the Federal Reserve, you audit the Fed, you do anything to, diminish the IRS, the Federal Reserve, whatever. Tomorrow, the next day or the next days, Congress will establish another type of central banking system. The 16th Amendment came first, then came the Federal Reserve. You can, because Congress has the authority. So you're kind of making a laugh out of us, trying to say, oh, we throw tidbits of, end the Fed, audit the Fed, and all that. Quite frankly, it's, futile. It really is, because you really have to understand that Congress has the authority to tax and spend on whatever source derived, and Congress will do it. So to do that kind of makes me mad. And, people throw, members of Congress, including Congressman Ron Paul, who through this audit the Fed, and then his son, baby Paul, Rand Paul, also continued this audit the Fed. And, this tidbits of a balanced budget or a balanced budget amendment, term limits, these are things that, or tax reform or tax cuts. It's futile. It's flimsy. It's not enough to really save our American Republic by repealing these two amendments and bring power back to the sovereign states. Thomas Massie, to be quite honest with you, sir, you don't want to bring back power back to the states. You want to still keep in the federal government. So, you want to end the Fed but still have Congress dictate tax policy on the states and its people. I really get upset with that. And quite frankly, that's just my main tidbit. But let me take a short break, and then we'll do a short history on the 16th Amendment and how it got there, and then we'll fill into the 17th Amendment. But let's touch base on the 16th in just a while. We'll be right back.
Just one look and I feel so high, high in love with you. Oh, I found out how good it feels to have your love. Say you will be mine forever and always. Just one look and I knew that you were the only one. I thought I was dreaming, but I was wrong. Oh yeah. But I'm gonna keep on scheming till I can make you mine. So you see, I really care without you. I'm nothing. Just one look and I know I'll get you someday. Just one look. That's all it took. Just one look. That's all it took. Wow, just one look. That's all it was, baby. Just one look. That's all it took.
And that was Just One Look by the great Linda Ronstadt. Just one look. I look at this Federal Reserve legislation and I sob. Because again, the American people need to understand that just because Congress does these things, it doesn't mean that the power goes back to the states. It still keeps with the federal government. And, with all respect to Congressman Thomas Massey, which I do have tremendous respect, and I've asked him if he wants to come to this show, and I'll ask him again, I really want for him to understand that regardless of what we do, the amendment is still on the books, and that amendment is killing this country because you have spending bills helping other states. You have my Florida federal direct tax dollars helping Baltimore and rebuild their bridge, helping California build their railroad, and this thing that liberals say that blue states help red states, no. It's blue states helping red states. It's red states helping blue states. It's a mutual aid society that is just despicable and sad and corrupt. And that's what the 16th Amendment has brought to this country. So the next time somebody says, a red state's helping blue state or a blue state's helping a red state, they're all helping each other, and it shouldn't be. We should not be helping Maryland build that stupid bridge up there in Baltimore. Baltimore and Maryland has to be responsible for their roadways and their railways and their airports. We should not be spending money on that. If they can't do it, then tough doo-doo and, get it fixed on your own. If Maryland can't do it, then declare bankruptcy and join back to the Commonwealth of Virginia, or let that piece of land become part of D.C., which was originally was. And I don't think that would be a bad idea if Maryland becomes part of D.C. It becomes another useless slop, but at least, no more money goes in. But, it's just futile and sad. And, for the American people to buy into these things of audit the Fed, tax the rich, tax cuts for the middle class and all that, and tax reform, it's sad. It's sad that we have to resort to this. And with all due respect, again, the only reason why they're doing this is because it's a campaign issue. It's right now we're coming close to Memorial Day weekend, and they're finishing off the year, going after the summer months. They'll be back after the summer, and then comes to their election. So quite honestly, it's sad, and it's more sad that the American people don't know the truth about the 16th Amendment and how it really got to where it is. And it's only in my book, The Road to Liberty, and I hope that you people who are listening will purchase it and will buy it, because it's a very interesting book, because it details how we got to be such a mess of a American democratic society of dependent states, because that's what we really become. We become dependent of the federal government, blue states and red states. So we've become dependent. And in 1995, the Supreme Court had it right when they overruled a income tax tariff affecting the states on Pollock versus Farmers Trust. And, Chief Justice Melvin Fuller said it quite right. The federal government has no power in taxation, indirect taxation towards the states. They have power of taxation. And I'll be the first to admit, I have never denied the role of the federal government on the role of taxation. They do have some taxation powers, but indirect, away from the sovereign states. They can do it on tariffs. They can do it on collective revenue. Again, the Postal Service is a part of the federal government, and they can, but again, the federal government doesn't, the post office collects more of their income on stamps and postage and all that, so they really don't need that. And by the way, on roads, no. The federal government has no authority on national public works. They really don't. On roads and canals and highways. So the Interstate Highway Act should be dead. Should not exist. Again, it is the responsibility of the sovereign state to be responsible for the roads and roadways of their citizens of that state. So for the Francis Scott Key Bridge or the Sarbanes-Agnew future bridge name, that money should be coming out of Maryland and Maryland alone, and the congressional delegation should keep their mouth shut and do not do anything. But yet again, we're not going to see that because, we have become a dependent state thanks to this amendment. So I hope a lot of people listen to this and understand that the 16th Amendment has caused a lot of dismay and evilness across this great land of ours, and has created this massive role of dependency upon us. We have become dependent of a giant central government. And it's so sad that many people don't see it that way. Because why? Because the federal government, the federal politicians likes to show off money and likes to give money like this away, and likes to give Obama phones in 2012 and COVID stimulus checks in 2020. So when the federal government hands in their checks, I got my Obama phone, I got my stimulus check of 2020, I'm going to vote for Trump, I'm going to vote for Biden, I'm going to vote for Obama, I'm going to vote for W. And that's what they do. They lie and they cheat to get their way, and it's all thanks to that 16th Amendment. Now, it's sadly that people don't see it that way, and quite frankly, it's just sad. Now, I said I hope people get into my book, understand my book, understand that, if we do not clear a path in returning back to the Constitution as it was pre-1913 but post-1865, then we would be in a better country. I'll tell you that. We will live in a country where we wouldn't be having problems of any sort of dependency. But, with Herbert Hoover in the mix when he came into power in 1929, and then FDR continued that, we are now on a road of dependency. And this tribalism politics that we have seen before, it's quite sad. And quite honestly, it's bickering back and forth. Who can give the most money? Who can give most of my money and your money to other people in other states? And that's what we've become. So I do hope people get to listen, get to read, and understand that we are living in a predicament. We are living in a dependent nation, and we will not get out unless we start repealing those amendments. I'm going to get to the 17th in just a moment, but those amendments, especially the 16th, that's really causing a lot of damage. Enough small talk of ending the Fed, audit the Fed. I'm sorry, Ron Paul. Audit the Fed, a balanced budget amendment, a term limits amendment. Enough of the nickel and dime and snippets to throw at the public just to look good and sound good at a campaign rally. Enough of that. It's time to propose to repeal and end the damage that these amendments have done and bring that power back to the states. It is not the concern of Georgia what Florida does. It's not the concern of California or Texas. It's the concern of its own states, its own people, under one union of sovereign states, one American Republic of sovereign states, guiding through the Constitution. So, that I've touched the 16th Amendment. Let's take a short break and discuss the 17th Amendment, and we'll be right back. that was It's a Beautiful Life by Ace of Base. It's a beautiful life when you don't have the federal government taking your money or not having true representation of what they're supposed to do. So yeah, it was a beautiful life pre-1913 and post-1865. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, we touched base on the 16th Amendment. Let's touch base on the 17th Amendment, the other unprincipled amendment that I discuss in my book. The 16th Amendment, as I like to call it in my book, the Sanctioned Robbery Amendment, because it is sanctioned robbery. The 17th Amendment, I like to call it the Unrepresented Amendment, because it's not truly representation. And I'll get to that in a moment, why I called it the Unrepresented Amendment. We understand that in the National Congress, we have two houses. We have the U.S. House of Representatives, which is the people's representation, and we have the National Senate. Now, the National Senate, back in pre-1913, was the states' representation, the sovereign states' representation. And that's why you only have two. We only have two because it's representation of the states itself. Now, again, I'm not in having too much representation of the people, because the people, they may be swindled, bamboozled, and so you have to be very careful. But nevertheless, the people have the representation, but the states have theirs. And it's two entities, the people and the states. It's quite as with the Bill of Rights, with two rights for the people and the states. There is the individual rights based on the 9th Amendment, and there is a states' rights based on the 10th Amendment. So, you do have two rights, the people and the states. So when you combine in the National Congress to have a direct popular election of national senators, you're going to end up with a lot of corruption. You already have corruption on the other house. You're going to have it on the other side as well. And we've seen it, and we've seen a lot of corruption on the Senate side. Because it's a wider population to campaign. Candidates going to need a lot of money. So again, you're going to have a wide range of corruption. I can give you one example. Senator Brewster of Maine was a longtime donor of Pan Am World Airways by CEO Juan Trippe. So, and he received a lot of campaign funds from Juan Trippe, the CEO of Pan Am. And that grew a lot of corruption. And the same thing goes with Howard Hughes trying to buy his way into TWA. And it's just not that, but it's basically, labor. Labor has given a lot of money to Democratic candidates and some Republican candidates on forced due states. So, you're going to have a lot of corruption. And we need to streamline this. And yet again, I call it the Unrepresented Amendment is because when the people get to vote for their national senator and somewhere, somehow, somebody says, oh my God, that person is so corruptible, he got into office with this amount of money, and this amount of money was received by this corporation, and and then Congress gets to decide, well, we don't want him, so we get to kick him out. Wait a minute. The people get to vote for him, and you were throwing out what the people chose? That's not representation. That's not representation. That you're taking away that right of the people to choose for the senators, and you're saying, well, this guy is corruptible, we're going to throw him out. I mean, just because he won an election doesn't mean that he's corruptible. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I don't know. But, the Constitution cannot predict crooks. But the 17th Amendment has indeed introduced it to the Constitution, and we've seen it far and far beyond. We saw it with Lyndon Johnson. We saw it with Blagojevich of Illinois, Lyndon Johnson of Texas when he was a U.S. Senator. We saw it with Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Bernie Sanders, Bob Menendez from New Jersey. Oh, geez, he's under indictment even right now. So, you have a lot of corruption. Now, people say, well, back in the old days when the state legislatures appointed their senators, there was corruption back then. No, there wasn't. There were at least 10 alleged events of corruption, 10 alleged events of corruption of appointment of senators prior to 1913 that has never really been proven. has never really been proven, but you've had more than 10 post 1913 of individuals of corrupt activities that, quite frankly, is enough. So that one, see, the 16th Amendment and the 17th Amendment are both unprincipled. Yes, I concede they're in the Constitution. They're constitutional. The Supreme Court has said it so when they affirmed the Revenue Act of 1913 and a few other ones here and there, and the 17th Amendment as well. The 17th Amendment has never really been challenged by the courts. And I'm going to throw this at you. During the little spectacle in 2008 of Governor Rod Blagojevich of Illinois, when Senator Barack Obama became president-elect, and the governor gets to choose a temporary senator to fill in that spot. The way you read the 17th Amendment is it says that the legislature may empower the governor. Listen to the language, may empower. That means that they may and they may not give that power to the governor. So I think you can make a strong case that it can go back to the state legislatures to get those senators appointed as it really is, as how the framers of the Constitution envisioned that. So the way that the progressive authors of the 17th Amendment wrote that amendment, they still gave power to the state legislatures to may or may not empower the governor. You can make a strong case out of that. Now, you did have a case in Pennsylvania after the death of Senator Hines, and I'm so sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the case, but where they kind of brought the 17th Amendment, but it was on a primary discussion. It wasn't really on legislature or governor. It was more primary and how the legislature set up for entering an election, and of course the two parties got their way and didn't give their way for independent candidates. So it didn't really touch that. But again, I think somebody could if somebody was truly constitutionally intellectual, an intellectual with the Constitution could really read that and say, think about it. It says may, the word may. It gives that power to the state legislature to may or may not empower the governor. So I hope some people listen out there that, you can bring up a case with the Supreme Court and say, hey, listen, the writers or the authors of the amendment says that they can empower the state legislature to appoint a governor, to appoint a senator. So this would make the amendment null and void. So, in reading, this is the things that people don't get to read the Constitution. People are not well informed, and this is where the federal government has thrown tidbits at the American people with term limits. I'm sick and tired of the U.S. term limits and people saying that we need term limits to stop the career politicians. Excuse me, but since this country was established, we've had nothing but career politicians. But it was different back then because they were career politicians, but they were doing something good for their state, for their people. It wasn't to feather their own nest. So we've had career politicians. So enough with those tidbits, please, from Ted Cruz and Convention of States individuals, and enough of that. We've had career politicians. It's just that they actually did something to not feather their own nest. They helped their community. They helped their state. So, I really hate that when people say that we want term limits to stop the career politicians, the Harry Reids, the Chuck Schumers, the Ted Cruz. We're always going to have career politicians. It's just that right now, as it is now, they make more damage than back before 1913. Now, yeah, you could say, well, we had a civil war without the 17th Amendment. So they still represented their state. They still had their representation. So, these are two unprincipled amendments that should not be on the Constitution. Regrettably, they are. And until then, I'm going to have to abide by them. But there is a way to be rid of them. And it's not through reform. You can't cut the head of the snake. You can't cut the tail of the snake and make it all better. You have to cut the head of the snake. And that's what the 16th Amendment and the 17th are. They're the head of the snake. They're biting us. They're bleeding us. They're letting us dry. They're letting us bleed to dry because that's what they do. They suck all the poison out. So you need to cut that head. And by doing that, you have to repeal that amendment and repeal these amendments. And that's what I hope people get to understand. So I hope you do get my book, The Road to Liberty, Bringing an End to the 16th and 17th Unprincipled Amendments. I hope people really understand that these two amendments are horrible in every sense of the word. Horrible doesn't begin to describe. It's despicable. It's horrendous, and it's dependable. And we become dependent, and we don't want that. We want individual freedom. We want freedom to govern for ourselves and our states away from essential autonomy. So I do hope people get my book. It's if you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, it's in my bio, link in my bio through Amazon. Go ahead and purchase it. Fill me with any questions you have, and I hope you do. And I hope you open I hope you understand that this needs to get done. Maybe not in my lifetime. I don't know when, but we really need to stop being so dependable and enjoy our freedoms. Well, I'm going to leave one more note to MTG. I hope you enjoy this song again. I'm going to put for MTG and enjoy it as I'm going to put it again. I hope you enjoyed our program tonight. In the next coming days, my podcast partner, Seth Hancock, will join us again with new topics to discuss. With that, have yourself a wonderful week ahead. And again, stay sovereign always. Thank you and good night.